Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Movies and More, the podcast where we talk all about movies and why they were impactful to society. I'm here with Andrew Heckler. My name is Alex Pinsky, and today the movie that we're going to be talking about is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Do you want to give a little summary of the movie?
Perks of Being a Wallflower is about a few teenage kids, a friend group who are all suffering from their own like mental illnesses, diseases, and just stuff like that, all trying to cope with it in different ways, and it just shows all the different mental aspects of life and being a high schooler.
Gotcha. And I think one of the more influential or different things about this movie is how it follows more than one main character, and they each have their own separate, just as important stories. Now, there are movies that have also done this in the past. Movies like 10 Things I Hate About You follows the story of multiple characters throughout the entire film. But this one does it really well, and it makes all of their like struggles and issues so impactful and really like hit home, because a lot of it can also be relatable to a large audience of people.
Mm-hmm. So main character Charlie, he's a freshman in high school. So when he was a child, his aunt basically abused him, which led to depression and him trying to find his way back on track. He went to therapy. He was hearing things in his head, like stuff like that. And then eventually he gets this group of friends. It just all become good friends and everything works out in the end, I'm pretty sure. And then Sam, the girl, played by Emma Watson, she is, I don't really know how to say this, but
She gets around.
She gets around.
She gets around. Yeah.
She's been around town. Or in the movie they said it was like her freshman year. Like she's a senior, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
But when she was a freshman, she was getting around town.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last one, and then Patrick, the last character, so he was basically gay and he was having an affair, or his boyfriend was Brad, who was a star football player, he didn't want anyone to know that he was gay or having an affair with another guy, so he basically hid it from everyone. His parents found out, and he randomly showed up at school one day with like a black eye, cuts, scrapes, like his face all messed up, and he basically just told everyone he got jumped when really his parents beat him. So I mean, the movie basically just goes over like all the different aspects of mental health and it shows like what people have to go through depending on what they're feeling.
Yeah, and I think what really separates this movie from other movies that have talked about mental health is, I think, especially before it in older films, even like early 2000s ones, a lot of directors and film companies were kind of scared to tackle, like fully dive into the topic of mental health, because it wasn't something that was really in the front scope of society. But now that it has become something that's more important, people care about it more, there's a lot more like help systems and just overall awareness to the issue. A lot of it came from movies like The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which pushed it onto the big screen and pushed it into society. And it influenced a lot of other projects too that came out past it, such as the show Euphoria, which is about a group of high schoolers who deal with their own mental health issues, have their own experiences with other people in the school and their friends, get into fights. They're high school kids, which is kind of the blueprint for The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So it really shows like how strongly this movie impacted society and how much culturally it changed around the world.
Yeah, and also I think the fact that it's about high school and a bunch of high schoolers, like I feel like it's kind of inappropriate to show like in schools. This was the first time I ever saw it. Health class, and it was my junior year. And I mean, it was a great movie. But also at the same time, I was like, it's kind of crazy how they're able to show this movie in school, especially how like everything is nowadays. Like I feel like every movie that they show in school is like super soft or like doesn't show anything. Like this one has nudity. At the end, the main character Charlie like is like calling his sister like about to kill himself. So I mean, the fact that they're able to show all that like in schools kind of just shows like how important this movie is and how like well it shows everything.
Exactly, yeah, like you're not used to seeing this kind of graphic stuff or difficult topics on the big screen. And another point that you brought up that I think was really good was the fact that it is set in high school, because I feel like early 2000s was a huge time for like high school, like cliche movies, like girl meets boy, they fall in love, like 10 Things I Hate About You, Mean Girls, Clueless, all of those movies kind of follow the same blueprint, but this was the first one to tackle almost a realistic, dark version of high school, which was really influential for all of the projects that came after it.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us for this episode of Movies and More. Tune in next week to see what our next movie that we are going to be talking about will be. This is Andrew Heckler. I am Alex Pinsky. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.